and this is also known as the receptor site. We can use the like 5' splice site for the GU or the donor site. We can use the receptor site or the 3' splice site for the AG. In this kind of intron, you will get a branch point, and the branch point always contains adenine containing nucleotide. So there is a adenine containing nucleotide at this particular point, and it is near the 3' splice site, and this is the structure of GUAG. So in the case of the pre-messenger RNA, if you are showing a GUAG intron, so this is the structure of the GUAG intron. This part is exon, this part is exon. Here there is the GUAG intron. This is a consensus sequencer. This is the consensus sequencer. This particular part is termed as the 5' splice site, donor site. This is termed as the 3' splice site.
જો ન દેખાતું હોય ને તો તમારી જગ્યા બદલી લ્યો, બરોબર છે? બાકી અહીંથી જ કેમેરો શૂટ થશે. એક્સક્યુઝ સો.
3' splice site. And this particular point, it is known as the branch point, and the branch point contains the adenine containing nucleotide, and this is the near the 3' splice site. You can describe the intron at the level of the RNA. You can also describe the intron at the level of the DNA. Now suppose this is the RNA molecule, this is the pre-messenger RNA. Here I have mentioned the GUAG intron. Now suppose I want to mention this particular intron at the level of the DNA. If I will mention this particular intron at the level of DNA, then suppose this is the double-stranded DNA molecule. In this double-stranded DNA molecule, this is the 5' and 3'. This is the 3' and 5'. This strand is going to act as a template for the formation of this messenger RNA. If it has a GU at this point, so here you will have to mention C and A. This is the A, here should be the T. If AG, then P and C. So this is the template system. Now this is the same system. At the same system, this is the G, T, and at this particular point, A and G. A and G. Now we can describe the same intron at the level of the DNA. But at the level of the messenger RNA, we are using GUAG intron. GUAG intron. But if I am going to describe the same intron at the level of the DNA, then it should be termed as the GPAG intron. That's why in certain book you will find the same intron is termed as the GPAG intron. Like the certain book, like the D.A. Brown, you will find the name of the intron, it is mentioned GPAG intron. And the same intron, we are also using the term like the GUAG intron. If you are going to describe at the level of the messenger RNA, then GUAG. If you are going to describe this particular intron at the level of the DNA, then GPAG. This part is so this is the one of the common type of the intron that you will find in the messenger RNA forming eukaryotic gene, and that is known as the GUAG intron or GPAG intron. And when you are going to use this kind of the information, always mention 5' and 3' like this. Number of genes in the case of the cellular organism. The number of genes in the case of the cellular organism normally varies from the less than the 400 genes to more than 30,000 different genes. Suppose if you will take the example of the prokaryote. In the case of the prokaryote, number of genes will count the less. when you will compare the number of the genes in the case of the lower eukaryotes, you will find the number of the genes in the lower eukaryote is higher. If you take the case of the higher eukaryotes, you will get the more number of the genes. So the number of genes you will find pertain in the increasing trend. In the prokaryotes, number of genes you will find the less. In the higher eukaryotes, you will find the number of genes is more. This is the generalized information. Increasing number of genes. Example, if you will take the case of the E. coli. So in the case of the E. coli, there is approximately 4,000 genes. Approximately 4,000 genes. But the 4,000 genes is the messenger RNA forming genes. Because there is a number of genes, maybe the more than 4,000. But I am talking about there is the 4,000 genes that is responsible for the formation of the messenger RNA. So there is the 4,000 messenger RNA forming gene, or you can say there is the 4,000 protein forming gene. Because if the gene is responsible for the formation of the messenger RNA, so that particular messenger RNA will translate into the protein. In the case of the lower eukaryote, for example, if you will take the case of the budding yeast, you take the case of the budding yeast. In the case of the budding yeast, you will get approximately 6,000 different genes. And these 6,000 different genes are responsible for the formation of the messenger RNA or the protein formation. So as compared to the prokaryote, you will find higher number of genes in the case of the lower eukaryote. If you will take the case of the higher eukaryotes, like the human beings, in the case of the human, there is approximately 30,000 different genes. And that is responsible for the messenger RNA. So there is a generalized trend in the case of the cellular organism. When you will move from the prokaryote to the higher eukaryote, the number of genes is going to increase. Here I am talking about the messenger RNA forming gene. So messenger RNA forming gene you will find the least in the case of the prokaryote, and the messenger RNA forming gene you will find the maximum in the case of the higher eukaryote. This is the generalized trend. Without say? In the case of the prokaryote, the minimum number of genes is reported in the case of the Mycoplasma genitalium. In the case of the Mycoplasma genitalium, the minimum number of genes are reported. Here the number of genes that is responsible for the formation of the messenger RNA, it is approximately 470 genes. So among the prokaryote, among the cellular organisms, the minimum number of genes is reported in the case of the Mycoplasma genitalium, where the number of genes is 470, and this 470 is a messenger RNA and in protein forming genes. That is the minimum number of genes that is reported. And when you will move from the prokaryote to the higher eukaryote, number of genes is going to increase. And in the case of the higher eukaryotes like the human, the number of genes that is reported responsible for the formation of the protein synthesis, that is approximately 30,000. We are not yet confirmed what is the total number of the genes in the case of the human being. Even after the Human Genome Project, we can't say what is the exact number of the protein forming gene, protein gene. This is the probable answer, that is approximately 30,000 different genes responsible for the formation of the protein. This is the information related to the number of genes in the case of the prokaryote, lower eukaryote and higher eukaryote. Now see the size of the gene. Size of the gene. Size of the genes also vary in the case of the prokaryote, lower eukaryote and higher eukaryote. The most of the genes in the case of the prokaryote, most of the genes in the case of the lower eukaryote, and most of the genes in the case of the higher eukaryote, if responsible for the formation of the messenger RNA or the protein, so they follow this particular trend. The most of the genes in the case of the higher eukaryotes you will find of larger size as compared to the lower eukaryote, as compared to the prokaryote. It means the size of the prokaryotic gene you will find is comparatively smaller as compared to the size of the gene present in the case of the higher eukaryote. And the reason behind, because in the case of the higher eukaryote, due to the presence of the intron, due to the presence of the non-coding sequences, size of the genes is going to increase. So if you will compare the size of the gene, in general you will find the prokaryotic gene size is lesser as compared to the higher eukaryotic gene. So this is a generalized trend of the number of genes and the size of genes. The number of genes you will find less in the case of the prokaryote and more in the case of the higher eukaryote. Similarly, the size of gene you will find a particular gene size you will find the lesser in the case of the prokaryote as compared to the higher eukaryote. Or in the case of the higher eukaryotes, more the size of the gene is mainly due to the presence of intron. That's it. Yeah, fine. How the cellular organism acquires the new gene. What are the different processes by which the cellular organism acquires the new gene in the course of evolution? So that we can describe in terms of the acquisition of new gene by the cellular organism. Now suppose the 5,000 years back, this particular organism contains the 100 genes, 100 different genes. 5,000 years back, it contains the 100 different genes. After the 5,000 years, it contains the 110 genes. It means the 10 new genes is added here. So how these 10 new genes acquired by this particular organism in the course of the evolution? So this can be described under this particular heading, acquisition of new gene in the case of the cellular organism. Cellular organisms in the course of evolution may कैसे acquire? Because the number of genes is going to increase from the 5,000 to suppose the 7,000. It means that 2,000 new genes are added. From where this 2,000 new genes are added? So that comes under the acquisitions of the new gene by the cellular organism. Now see this particular. So in the case of the cellular organism, the additions of the new genes occurs by different processes. The first important process that is required for the acquisition of new gene, it is the horizontal gene transfer. Horizontal gene transfer. And second process that is responsible for the acquisition of new gene, that is the duplication and divergence. Duplication and divergence. Duplication and divergence. There is the third process that is also responsible for the generation of the new gene. That is the de novo origin. De novo origin. And fourth process due to the fusion and fission. Due to the fusion and fission of existing gene. Due to the fusion and fusion of the existing genes. So these are the different processes by which a cellular organism can acquire the new genes. One is the horizontal gene transfer, duplication and divergence of the existing gene, de novo origin of the gene, and the fusion and the fission of the existing gene. So first take the case of the horizontal gene transfer. In the case of the cellular organism, there is two different ways for the gene transfer. One is known as the horizontal gene transfer. Horizontal gene transfer. That is also termed as the lateral gene transfer. Lateral gene transfer. And there is a second method for the gene transfer. It is known as the vertical gene transfer. Vertical gene transfer. One is the horizontal gene transfer and second is the vertical gene transfer. So in the case of the cellular organism, there is two modes for the gene transfer. One is the lateral and second is the vertical. First take the case of the vertical gene transfer. Suppose here I am taking the example of the E. coli bacteria. In the case of the E. coli bacteria, DNA present as a genetic material. When this particular bacteria divides by the process of the binary fission, so first the DNA undergo for the process of the replication. First the DNA undergo for the process of replication, and due to the replication, 2 copies of the existing DNA form. As a result of replication, the 2 copies form. Then finally this bacterial cell undergo for the process of division, and 2 daughter bacterial cell forms, and both daughter bacterial cell contains 1 copies of the DNA. One. This is the binary fission, and with the help of the binary fission, bacteria, due to the process of the binary fission, bacteria divides and form the 2 daughter bacterial cell. In this particular condition, the new bacterial cell acquires the genetic material through the vertical gene transfer. This particular bacteria transfers the genetic material to the daughter bacterial cell through the vertical gene transfer. It means the binary fission, sexual mode of reproduction. By this particular process, if the organism acquires the DNA molecule or the gene, so that is the example of the vertical gene transfer. This is the case of the bacteria. Now suppose I am going to talk about the eukaryotic organism. So in the case of the eukaryotic organism, our genetic material, if suppose enters into the offspring, so that is the vertical gene transfer. Parents से offspring में जो gene जाता है, that is the example of the vertical gene transfer. अगर इस particular bacteria के binary fission से जो 2 bacterial cells बने, अगर यहाँ अगर कोई DNA अगर इंटर कर रहा है, तो this is the example of the vertical gene transfer. But in the nature, horizontal gene transfer also occurs. For example, if suppose this is the Agrobacterium tumefaciens, this is the Agrobacterium tumefaciens. In the case of the Agrobacterium tumefaciens, there is the TI plasmid. This Agrobacterium tumefaciens is in a bacterial cell. This is the eukaryotic cell. This is the plant cell, and this is the eukaryotic cell. In the plant cell, the genetic material present within the nucleus. This TI plasmid contains the tDNA, and the tDNA contains the gene responsible for the formation of the oxygen, responsible for the formation of the cytokinin, and responsible for the formation of the opines. Now suppose this particular TI plasmid contains the tDNA, and these tDNA contains different type of the gene. At the time of the conjugation between the plant cell and this bacterial cell, this tDNA is going to transfer from the bacterial cell to the eukaryotic cell. When this particular DNA is going to transfer here, so this cell also going to acquire the new genes. That particular gene is responsible for the cytokinin, responsible for the auxin, and responsible for the opines. That particular gene is acquired by this particular cell. This is the example of horizontal gene transfer. Because this is not a sexual mode of reproduction. This is not an asexual mode of reproduction. So if the transfer of gene occurs in this particular manner, this is known as the horizontal gene transfer. There is a gene transfer between the 2 complete organisms. For example, now suppose this is the 2 E. coli bacterial cells. These 2 E. coli bacterial cells are the complete E. coli bacterial cells. They are independent of each other. Now suppose any portions of this particular genetic material is going to transfer here, then it is a horizontal gene transfer. But if this particular bacterial cell undergo for the process of their binary fission and transfer the genetic material in the 2 daughter bacterial cells, this is the vertical gene transfer. Here I am talking about the horizontal gene transfer. So in the acquisition of the new gene, the some bacterial cell or some cellular organism acquires the new gene through the process of the horizontal gene transfer. For example, in this particular plant cell, now suppose there is the 1000 different genes present, and when the horizontal gene transfer occurs between this Agrobacterium tumefaciens and this particular plant cell, the few genes enters from here to here. Now suppose that 10 genes enter from this particular bacterial cell to here. So I can say there is the now 1010 genes. There is the 10 new genes this particular plant cell acquired, and this is the case of the horizontal gene transfer. So in the course of evolution, there are the several cases you will find where due to the process of horizontal gene transfer, the organism acquires the new genes. So this is the one of the process by which the organism acquires the new gene. Okay, particularly? Now see the second process, duplication and divergence. This is the most common method by which the cells acquire the new genes. That is the duplication and divergence. In the case of the duplication and divergence, suppose this is the gene present in the single code. This is the gene present in the single code. And as a result of the replicational error, as a result of the transposition, a second copy of this gene arises. The same gene का एक और copy में show करो. If the new copy of the same gene arises, that process is known as the duplication. That duplication may occur as a result of the transposition. That duplication may occur as a result of the replicational error. Now suppose due to the replicational error, a new gene arises here. This is known as the duplication of the gene. This is the duplication of gene. Now suppose in the course of evolution, this duplicated gene undergo for the process of changes. As a result of mutation, the new changes occurs here. At this particular point, now suppose this is the adenine and thymine. When the duplication occurs, the same copy formed and the same copy having the same sequences. So in the beginning there is the same sequence. Now suppose in the course of evolution, some changes occurs here. As a result of the changes, this particular AT is going to change into the gene. Now I can say, now these two genes are not the same. There is a difference in these two genes. So first duplication occurs. After the duplication, then divergence occurs. As a result of divergence, now we have the two different genes. This is the one gene and this is the second gene. So we can say this is the new genes that particular cell has acquired. And this particular process by which this particular new gene acquired, it is the duplication followed by divergence. It is a duplication followed by the divergence by which the new genes acquired by the cellular organism. And this is the most common method by which the cellular organism in the course of evolution acquired the new gene. That is the duplication and that is followed by the divergence. One is the horizontal gene transfer and second is the duplication and divergence.
But sir, it may happen that now this gene won't be functional.
Yeah, it may happen. It may happen. This particular gene becomes the non-functional. If it becomes non-functional, then it is known as the pseudogene. But there is a chance of the formation. There is a chance for the acquiring the new genes. It is the duplication, and duplication should be followed by divergence. One method for the acquiring of the new gene is a de novo also. Now you take the one example where this is the one gene and this gene is responsible for the messenger RNA and this messenger RNA ultimately forms the protein. So we can say this is the protein forming gene, here this is the messenger RNA forming gene. So this is already coding sequences responsible for the formation of the messenger RNA. Now suppose this is the sequence. This particular sequence not going to code for any kind of the RNA. This particular region is not going to code for any kind of the RNA molecule. No messenger RNA, no ribosomal RNA, no transfer RNA. And this particular region also not going to perform any other function. So this particular region is not going to perform any function because in the genome you will find there are several regions and that region is not going to perform any function. You consider the same region, not going to perform any kind of the function. Now suppose as a result of the changes, here the certain changes occurs in the course of the time, certain changes occur. After the certain changes, these regions now able to form the messenger RNA. Earlier this is a non-coding region. This particular region not going to perform any kind of a function. But in the course of the time, certain changes occurs and as a result of the certain changes, now this particular region becomes the coding sequence and not responsible for the formation of the messenger RNA or any other RNA molecule. In that condition, we can say this is the de novo origin. This is the de novo origin. ये अपने आप हो. A certain changes undergo for the process of changes, and a new gene arises. So this is a new gene. This is the new gene responsible for the formation of the messenger RNA. So we can say this is also a process by which a cellular organism can acquire the new gene, and this is the de novo origin. ऐसा नहीं हुआ कि पहले कोई जीन था उसका डुप्लीकेशन हुआ, डाइवर्जेंस हुआ, या कोई एग्जिस्टिंग जीन किसी पर्टिकुलर ऑर्गेनिज्म से दूसरे ऑर्गेनिज्म में आया. This kind of the thing not happen. Here the regions that we are going to consider, it is a non-coding, non-functional region, and suddenly after certain changes, this particular region is responsible for the formation of the messenger. So what you will say? This is the de novo origin. This is the de novo origin by which a new genes can be acquired by a cellular organism. Fusion and fission. Suppose this is a single gene. This is the one gene. This particular gene is responsible for the formation of the messenger RNA, and this messenger RNA forms the protein. This is the one gene, and this gene is responsible for the formation of the protein. Now suppose in the course of evolution, this particular gene undergo for the process of fission. ये ब्रेक कर दिया. Now this particular gene undergo for the process of fission. इसमें ब्रेक हो गया. After the break, this particular part is going to perform a particular function. This part is going to perform a particular function. Now a single gene after undergo for the process of fission. As a result of the fission, now the two gene arises. Now suppose this gene becomes the A, this gene becomes the B. This is going to form a specific kind of the protein. This is going to form a specific kind of protein. Now we can say there is the two new genes formed as a derived from a particular gene. From the pre-existing gene, as a result of the fission, two new genes arises. ये gene A और B पहले से तो नहीं था. पहले जो gene मैं यहाँ consider कर रहा था, this is suppose the Z. This is the whole portion is going to behave like a gene. This is the gene Z. लेकिन इनके फ्यूजन के बाद अब दो नए जीन बन गए. तो दिस इज आल्सो ए प्रोसेस, जैसे कि एक नए जीन जो है एचसीएल के द्वारा जो एक्वायर्ड हो गया. तो दिस इज आल्सो ए प्रोसेस बाय विच द न्यू जीन कैन बी एक्वायर्ड बाय द सेलुलर ऑर्गेनिज्म, एंड दैट इज मे बी द फ्यूजन और मे बी द फ्यूजन. या तो दो जीन ज्वाइन करके एक नया जीन बनाते हैं, या एक पर्टिकुलर जीन डिवाइड करके दो जीन बना करते हैं. तो सेल जो है किसी भी तरीके से अगर नए जीन को एक्वायर करते हैं तो आप कहेंगे कि that is the process by which a cellular organism can acquire the new gene. So it can be the horizontal gene transfer, it can be the duplication and divergence, it can be the de novo origin, and it can be the fusion and fission of the existing gene. जो पहले से ऑलरेडी जीन था उन्हीं के जो है फ्यूजन एंड फिजन से नए जीन जो है एक्वायर करते हैं. इस बात इसलिए now first take the case of the duplication and divergence. मतलब अलग अलग टर्म्स यूज करते हैं. जीन फैमिली, स्यूडो जीन, होमोलोगस जो है जीन, पैरालोगस जीन, ऑर्थोलोगस जीन, all these terms are related. Now see how the duplication and divergence is responsible for the formation of the homologous gene, paralogous gene, orthologous gene, and responsible for the formation of the gene family. This is the gene A, and this particular gene A contains a specific kind of the sequences. Now suppose this particular point having the adenine thymine, and this particular point having the cytosine guanine at a display. And this gene is responsible for the formation of the protein. That protein perform a specific function. Now suppose that particular protein is the A. So this is the gene A that is responsible for the formation of the protein A.